Hey, welcome back to Fat Mama Physics. In this video, we're going to continue with 1.2, adding rational numbers. And in this video, I'm going to try to finish off the lesson, especially with the word problems. There are not a lot, so we can kind of get through them. First off, let's do this one, adding rational numbers in decimal form. Okay, so let's start off with A. So with A, we first have to predict the sign of the solution, then solve it. We have negative 3.1 and 1.2. The sign is going to be whichever sign is carried by the larger number. So 3.1 has a negative sign in front. It is definitely larger than 1.2 in terms of absolute, it's as a number itself. So I think this answer is going to be negative since 3.1 is bigger. And then we can solve it. So it's very hard to visualize negative 3.1 plus 1.2. If you want to go and draw a number line, this one is up to you. Okay, that's negative 3.1, and let's say this is negative 3.0, etc. This is one way you can do it. You start off at negative 3.1 and you go up at 1.2. So you go by 1.2, this goes up by 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, 1, 0.1, 1.2. So your final answer is going to be negative 1.9. So that is if you absolutely need your number line to solve this one for you, but I think of it as this way. So this is my little trick. I kind of think of it as 3.1 minus 1.2, which is exactly the opposite of what the question is telling me. But if you think about it this way, whatever I move on the number line, actually, you know what? If I try to mirror this one, on this side, 3.1, okay, as this is the positive zone, if I have to subtract 1.2, I'm kind of going backwards. So I'm doing exactly what I did previously, but I'm doing it on the positive side of my scale as a mirror image. So then when I get my final answer, I just have to slap in the negative sign to make it in the, to give it the right sign at the end. So really, I just take 3.1 minus 1.2, put it on the negative sign. Okay, and so if I do this, okay, 1 minus 2, that's 9, carry 1 over, so that's going to give me 1.9, okay? So my final answer is negative 1.9. Essentially, I just find the difference, slap in the correct sign. Let's say 3.1 is bigger, like this one, then it will be positive instead. Next question. Oh, hey, look, this is easy. This is just 3.1 minus 1.2. Okay, remember if I add a negative, it's exactly the same as me subtracting 1.2. This is going to give me 1.9. All right, last but not least, I have negative 4.5 minus, remember this becomes minus 3.6, or I just add up my loans. I'm just going to get a bigger number. This is exactly the same as me adding these two numbers up and slapping in a negative sign at the end. So I know this is going to be negative for sure. Carry 1 over, this is going to make it 5 plus 3 is 8.1, but will be negative since the two numbers are negative. Okay, example 2. Moving on, okay, so guess what? Maybe I do 3 and you do 4. Let's go. At the beginning of June, John owed the bank $235.46. Notice it's in dollar sign. By the end of August, he increased his debt by 156.71. Use a rational number to represent each amount, okay? So we often like to think owing money is as a negative sign because you would be subtracting that from whatever money you would have. So this here would give me negative 235.46, and don't forget the dollar sign, okay? Because it will it's good to communicate units, okay? The next one is we are increasing the debt by another amount, okay? If we're going to increase the debt, then that's just going to be more debt. If it's more debt, that should also be using a negative sign here, okay? So that's A. Calculate how much John owes the bank at the end of August. So if you get this question, usually what you want to do is you want to use the correct representation of the number that you did in the previous question and write it as a mathematical sentence. So what this would be is negative 235, which is what John owes to begin with. He increases his debt, so we're going to have to add this debt on to what he already has. And that's kind of what this question is trying to do. Okay, so we add them up and we get a number. So we do 6 plus 1 is going to give us 7. 4 plus 7 is going to give us 1. Carry $1 over. 6 plus, that's going to be $6. Plus 6 is 12. And carry another 1 over. 1 plus 3, 4. 4 plus 5 is 9. And 2 plus 1 is going to be 3. John is going to owe a total of $392.17. So I would actually write a sentence saying that John is going to owe $392.17. Okay? And it's important to write the owing because that means that's what the negative is trying to mean here. Okay? So whenever you're doing a word problem, make sure you show all your units. Make sure you show a sentence at the very end to describe the context of the question. Okay? Next up, we have 4. Oh yes, this is your turn. Good time to pause the video and try 4. Okay, so let's go over it. In September, Robert earned $32.50 for babysitting. He earned $12.25 for mowing a lawn. He spent $5.85 for a slice of pizza, that's expensive pizza, and $11 at the movie theater. Write each amount as a rational number. Okay, so if he earns something, let's use a positive sign for that one. Okay, he earns $12.25, so that's also going to be a positive number. He spent $5.85 on pizza. Okay, so I'm going to write it as a negative number. Okay, that's a negative sign there. And then he spent at $11 at the theater, so that's going to be represented by that. Okay, and B, we have to write an addition statement to represent his balance at the very end of the month. So we're going to have to add everything together, and it makes sense because the amounts that he spends, we've written it as a negative amount. If we add the negative amount, it just becomes more, it just takes away from our total. Okay, so we add them all together, 32.50. Okay, we add the 12, and don't forget to include all your dollar signs. And then, oh, this part, make sure don't write minus 585. If you want to write addition statement, all your operations should be pluses. So I'm going to add, but I'm going to add a negative number. It has the same function as subtracting the number itself, subtracting the positive version of that number. So we must do it this way. Okay? All right. So after we add and subtract all of these, you know what? This is probably just easier if we put it into a calculator. Okay. First number is 32.5. We add 12.25. We have to subtract the $11 and the 5.85. Okay. And we get 27.9. 27.9. Now be careful. Many of you are going to stop here. There's a few things we have to be careful. First of all, we need to put in the 0. Okay? The reason why we have to put in the 0 is because we're communicating money. When we communicate money, there's always a cents place value, the hundredths place value. If you don't put that in, no one knows you're communicating money. Okay? That's important. The other thing is to put in the dollar sign. Okay? And last but not least, write a sentence. So Robert's balance at the end of September is $27.90. Okay, so here we go. This is the answer to this last question. So don't forget your communication skills. Thank you for watching. Good luck with your problems, and Fat Mama Physics signing out.